So, you're looking for a dog trainer in St. Peter's, and, maybe you're not quite sure where to begin. Well, you've come to the right place. Over the next few minutes, we're going to lay out a really clear roadmap to help you find that perfect professional so you and your dog can really thrive together. Life with a dog in St. Peter's is St. Fastic, but it definitely has its moments. One day you might be enjoying a nice, peaceful walk at Rotary Park, and the next you're navigating those busy sidewalks right near Mid-Rivers Mall. Good training, well, it just makes all of those everyday situations so much easier and way more enjoyable for both of you. All right, to keep things simple, we've broken this down into 4 parts. First, we'll cover starting your search, then how to evaluate a trainer. After that, we'll get into programs and costs. And we'll finish up with some specific tips for training right here in St. Peter's. Okay, first up, starting your search. Laying the foundation for a happy, well-behaved dog. So where do you even start? Before you just jump into Google, it's really helpful to understand the philosophy behind modern, effective training. Honestly, getting this part right from the beginning changes everything. So the term you're going to hear a lot, and for good reason, is positive reinforcement. It's pretty much the gold standard today. The idea is simple, but it's so powerful. You just reward the behaviors you want to see, with a treat or praise. That makes your dog want to do them again. It's not about being the alpha or using punishment. It's all about building a relationship based on trust and making learning feel like a fun game for your dog. All right, Section 2, evaluating a trainer. What to look for in a qualified professional. So, you're looking for someone who uses positive reinforcement. Great. But how can you tell who the real pros are? Well, that's where things like certifications and credentials become really helpful. Yeah, you're going to see a bunch of letters after trainers' names, and it can look like a bit of alphabet soup, right? The easiest way to think about them is like a diploma. Certifications like CPDTKA or the one from Karen Pryor Academy mean that a trainer has actually studied and passed some pretty tough exams on animal behavior and humane training methods. And hey, if you're dealing with something more serious, like major anxiety or aggression, seeing a certification like CBCCKA is a really good sign that you're talking to a specialist who knows their stuff. Let's move on to Section 3, programs and costs. This is where we get into finding the right fit for your needs and, of course, your budget. We'll look at what's available and what you can expect to pay right here in the St. Peter's area. Okay, so you'll usually find 2 main options, group classes or private lessons. Group classes are fantastic for socialization, getting your dog used to other dogs and people, and they're definitely easier on the wallet. Private lessons, though, are totally customized to you. They're perfect for tackling those specific in-home issues, like, say, your dog goes nuts when the doorbell rings or loves to jump on every guest who walks in. All right, let's talk numbers. What should you budget for dog training here in St. Peter's? This gives you a ballpark idea for 2025. A 4 to 6 week group class will probably run you somewhere between $150 and $285. For private one-on-one sessions, you're looking at about $100 to $180 each. Now, for the really intensive options, like a board and train where your dog lives with a trainer, that's a much bigger investment, usually starting in the neighborhood of $1,900 and going up from there. Okay, this is huge. When you're talking to a potential trainer, you need to be prepared with some good questions. Think of this as your checklist. You absolutely want to ask about their training methods to make sure they align with what we just talked about. Ask how they'll tailor the plan specifically for your dog and your family. And here's a big one, especially for behavior issues. Ask if they're willing to work with your veterinarian. A true professional will always say yes. Okay, for our last section, let's bring it right back home to St. Peter's. We're going to talk about the local rules and resources that you and your dog need to know. Plus, I'll share some great spots around town to practice all those new skills. Being a great dog owner in our community means knowing the local rules, right? So here are the key things to remember in St. Peter's. First, the leash law. Your dog has to be on a leash that's 6 feet or shorter in public areas, unless you're in a designated dog park. Also, all dogs over 4 months old need to be licensed with the city. And to get that license, you'll need to have proof of a current rabies vaccination. Pretty standard stuff, but important to know. So, once you start your training, where can you go to practice? Well, we've got some great options. The Rotary Park Dog Park is perfect for working on recall, getting your dog to come back when called, because it's all safely fenced in. If you want to practice polite leash walking with some real-world distractions, the trails over at Wapplehorse Park are great for that, with families and other people around. Spencer Creek Park is another good one, with paved trails where you can work on keeping your dog calm around joggers and cyclists. Look, at the end of the day, this is all about making life with your dog in St. Peter's more enjoyable for everyone. A well trained dog is a happy dog. It means you can have those peaceful walks through the neighborhood or relax when you have friends and family over without any stress. It just makes everything better. We hope this helps and we wish you the very best on your training journey.